we have no objection. Your Lordship may hear any state.
No, not
Just as a
intervention.
preface,
No, you should have
everything
joined
the
every
solicitor
state
has
as a-
said does not, my lord, hinge on maintainability of a petition under 32 by an individual who complains that his fundamental rights are being restricted in some form. I have a right to oppose this court. This will be a defense, whether your Lordship will leave it to the legislative forum or the courts forum. There is no question of saying, my lord, that I should answer that first. I will open my case. They will raise a defense. Please don't touch it. Throw it away. Your Lordship do it all the time. Matter of executive policy, we won't touch it. He will say whatever he has to say. But I have a right to file a 32. I have a right to be heard. My grievance may be right, may be wrong. Your Lordship will deal with it. And your Lordship will deal with their responses about, my lord, this, that or the other when it comes. It's not a case of 711. That, my lord, a suit is barred by operation of law. That is a preliminary objection. This can't be a preliminary objection that your 32 is there, but the impact of 32 will be this or that.
No, it's
That impact can never be a part of a preliminary objection. That will be a defense. That don't touch it, this is too overbroad, this, that, they will say all that, my lord. So now, my lord, let me open my case.
Yes.
Of list 2, 3, this is the concurrent list. Mullahs, would your lordships be kind enough, Mullahs, to hear the states as well?
The states have already filed intervention applications.
Some 2 states have, Mullah, but there's no notice gone to anybody. I mean, it's up to your, well, I can only say.
We'll consider that. We'll consider
Because
that.
once it is in the concurrent list, Mullahs, then states can
certainly
themselves
consider it.
legislate. This is something that your lordship should consider and hear the state.
What we'll do is let whoever is opening the case on behalf of the petitioners open the case. Let's have in about 15 minutes what is the nature of the canvas of the proceedings that they're going to urge. So we'll have to then, we'll form a better view after about, say, 15 minutes of their opening their arguments.
I have some more, Lord, something more to add, my lord. I adopt what the learned senior has said. Lord, the subject, your lordships are dealing with virtually, my lord, creation of a socio-legal system, socio-legal relationship of marriage, which, my lord, I'll come to, my lord, my preliminary objection would be, my lord, the domain of the competent legislature. When the subject is in the concurrent list, we cannot rule out the possibility of one state agreeing to it, another state legislating in favor of, another state legislative against it. So therefore, in absence of the states being not joined, my lord, the petition would not be maintainable. That's one of my preliminary objection. Lord, as I mentioned yesterday, Lord, I have also filed an application, my lord, requesting that decide a question which I have formulated as a preliminary question, my lord, essentially for this reason. A, Lord, the notices were issued in January, my lord. We didn't have an occasion, my lord, thereafter matter was never heard in merits, to raise the preliminary objection whether this court can at all go into this question, or it would be essentially for the parliament, my lord, to go into that question. Second, my lord, we also, my lord, would like to point out what would be the repercussions, my lord, if the court were to take it upon itself, my lord, in the judicial forum, to take this call. The sum and substance of my application would be, if I were to say in one line, the debate which is to happen with respect to the subject matter of creating, conferring a sanctity, legal recognition of a socio-legal institution, should that be the forum of this honorable court or the forum of the honorable forum of the parliament?
Mr. Solicitor, 2 responses to that.
Lord, may I
Just one second, Mr. Ragvi. The nature of your preliminary objection and the tenability of your preliminary objection will really depend upon the canvas which they open up. And we say that with a due amount of reflection of mind on this. Let us see what is the canvas that they are opening up. Second, so that then we can consider your response. Second, what is really in the nature of a preliminary objection that you seek to raise is really your response to the petition of merit.
No, my lord.
Defense.
So we'll hear you on that.
Lord, I'm
We will
sorry,
certainly,
my lordships may not preempt, my lord, my
Mr.
submissions
Solicitor,
on
we'll
merit.
hear you. We'll hear you, of course. I mean, it can't be lost to our mind that what you're going to argue is that this
I'm
is
obliged, my lord, your
essentially within the
lordship
domain of
will hear me,
parliament.
my lord.
That it's essentially in the domain
Kindly
of
allow me to
parliament,
clarify.
the court should not
Kindly
enter into it.
allow-
So we'll hear you on that at a subsequent stage.
Can I?
When you are responding to the arguments. Second, once we have some picture in the first 15 minutes or maybe half an hour on what is the canvas they are arguing, we may have a response to them on what is the canvas that we want to open up in this matter. But that's after we hear them, because
Lord,
to
may
tell
I,
them,
may I say,
to tell
let
them
me
this
make
is
my
the-
submission. Lord.
to tell them that, well, this is what we want to be, which we want to go into, would be really to preempt their submissions on what they want us to go into it. Phenol probability, for instance, they may say that this is
There
so
are
far
also
and no
issues of
further. That's
Personal
what we
law,
are.
there are also issues of personal law, adoption, succession, several issues that arise out of this, Mullahs. And that's the canvas that your lordship should be looking at.
Sybil, we are
Only
confused.
one more thing. I'm
We are-
after my Lord
we are
Mr. Sybil
confused
completes.
of the canvas. We want to view how it is being opened up
Yes,
and whether it's the whole canvas to be opened up, not to be.
that's
opened up.
correct. That's,
Yeah, they're, not that we are not.
no, your lordship, I'm just, Mullah, the caveat that I'm just
Yes,
putting.
you are right,
Yes,
yes, you are right.
There are other
understand you are
very,
right.
very complex issues. Whether your lordships would like to go into that, not go into that, once we know, then Mullahs will be able to
Exactly.
address your lordship.
That's exactly what we thought we'll, that's
May-
present to our
Can
mind.
can I conclude, my lord? Can I
Yeah.
complete my request?
Yeah.
My lord, I'm sorry, my lord, my lords, slightly, my lord, preempted my request. First of all, I'm making it very clear. My preliminary subjects, my lord, objections are not my objections on the merits. If merits were to be gone into, there are separate set of arguments. These are not, my lord, these are only for deciding which forum would adjudicate upon and which forum would be the suitable forum and constitutionally the only permissible forum where this debate can take place. So by the very nature of the objection, it must, my lord, in my respectful submission, be heard first. While arguing my preliminary objection, I'll not raise any submissions on the merits of the case. I'm, my lord, very, very clear about it. And, my lord, therefore, my lord, your
So,
lordship,
Mr. Solicitor, we'll reserve, whether to hear you on the preliminary objection at this stage after they have opened up, just for about 15 to 20
my lord,
minutes. So that then we can-
then your lordships may do one thing, my lord.
Yeah.
That's the another request. My lord, let them give, my lord, their, my lord, suggest, whatever submissions they want, overview, confined to, my lord, what my preliminary objection is. My lord, I can't be
That we will not do
non-suit.
that. Certainly
Lord,
not. We'll not do
I have to
anything. on
open
the-
my case.
Solicitor.
My lord, I'm sorry, my lord. My lord, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Mr. Solicitor, we are in charge. We will hear
I
Mr.
have
I'm
to
sorry,
open
my lord.
my
Kindly
case.
last minute, my
Let
lord,
me
last.
Mr. Solicitor, we'll hear you later.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr.
My
Roy.
lord,
Now,
only a minute, my lord, only a minute.
No.
My lord, your lordships may give me a minute.
Dictate to us how we will conduct the proceedings.
No, I'm not, my lord. I am
I'm not
earnestly
allowed that
requesting.
in my court.
My lord, I am earnestly requesting. I would never do that. Your lordship knows, my lord.
Yes.
My lord, this is a matter, my lord, too sensitive an issue,
Of
where,
course,
my lord,
yeah.
your lordships would examine the preliminary submissions and, my lord, then give me some time. We may have to consider what would be the stand of the government, my
Certainly.
lord, in further participation in this debate.
So trust us to have a broader perspective of everything.
My lord, I fully trust, my lord. There is no question
Therefore,
of
we are
lack
just-
of trust.
We want to understand from them what they want to argue.
My lord,
we are
then,
just-
my lord, your lordships may give me time, my lord, to consider to what extent the government would like to participate in this.
Anything but adjournment, and I think anything but an adjournment.
No, I understand, my lord, your lordship's anxiety, my lord, I understand. I share that.
So, are you saying that you don't want to participate? No, I'm
Lord,
not.
my lord, I am only
To
saying,
participate, it's a prerogative you have.
my lord, I am,
Uh,
Lord, I'll not
but
go that
can
far,
you-
my lord.
No, Mr. Solicitor, that, let me say that. It look nice. When you say that we will see whether we participate or not.
No, my lord, I'll take instructions. I didn't say I'll not participate.
Instructions are here with this constitution.
My lord, the instructions on the question whether which forum should debate and discuss this subject.
That's a very important situation itself. That's the main this thing, whether the court can go into it or whether only parliament will legislation issue like this.
Lord, your lordships would examine, Lord, kindly give me 2 more minutes. Lord, this is not an issue which can be debated, Lord, by 5 individuals very learned on that side, 5 individuals on this side, 5 very brilliant minds on the court, no doubt about it. None of us knows what are the views of, my lord, a farmer in South India, a businessman in, my lord, Northeast. Lord, these will have to be, my lord, this will have social and other ramifications, my lord.
Yes, of course. We'll consider that. We'll certainly have that in
My lord,
mind.
your lordships, I'm sure would consider the request. Only request is kindly consider that first.
No, we'll allow them to open the case so that we have
My lord,
an
then your
idea on
lordships
what they
may,
are.
my lord, rule on that. That's my prayer, my lord.
May
That's
I
my
submit,
prayer.
my lord?
Yes.
A short preface first.
Statement of state, my lord, on
Yes.
behalf of state of Madhya Pradesh, which your lordship was kind enough to direct. it.
Sir,
We
we'll
come-
hear you. There's no
No,
difference.
no, not
Your
for
Lordship may hear any
intervention, my lord.
state, we have no objection. Your Lordship may hear any state.
No, not
Just as a
intervention, I'm
preface,
saying
No, you should have
everything which
joined
the
every state
solicitor has
as a.
said does not, my lord, hinge on maintainability of a petition under 32 by an individual who complains that his fundamental rights are being restricted in some form. I have a right to approach this court. This will be a defense, whether your lordship will leave it to the legislative forum or the courts forum. There is no question of saying, my lord, that I should answer that first. I will open my case. They will raise a defense. Please don't touch it. Throw it away. Your lordship do it all the time. Matter of executive policy, we won't touch it. He will say whatever he has to say. But I have a right to file a 32. I have a right to be heard. My grievance may be right, may be wrong. Your lordship will deal with it. And your lordship will deal with their responses about, my lord, this, that, or the other when it comes. It's not a case of 7-11. That, my lord, a suit is barred by operation of law. That is a preliminary objection. This can't be a preliminary objection that your 32 is there, but the impact of 32 will be this or that.
No, it's
That impact
maintainability.
can
These are
never be a part
preliminary objections.
of a preliminary objection. That be a defense. That don't touch it. This is too overbroad. This, that. They will say all that, my lord. So now, my lord, let me open my case.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, only one aspect, my lord, and my
Please
lord,
now.
Yes.
ultimately it's
Allow
the
us to
lordship's
proceed.
prerogative. But I should not, my lord, be, my lord, told after, my lord, generations after generation, we did not bring this to a lordship's notice. In Special Marriage Act as well as in Hindu Marriage Act, every state have separate rules.
Please.
That makes more, my lord, case for calling all the states and hearing them. Your
My lord,
lordships have, my lord,
My lord,
partial view from both sides.
Only one.
He
My lord,
is very clear about his view, I may be very clear about my view, but none of us represents views of the nation.
my lord,
That's my preliminary
You are-
object.
my lord, the Solicitor General is aware of all the persons that we are talking of fundamental rights. Fundamental rights by their very nature are a limitation on the legislative power of the state. Your lordship need not defer to
I'm
parliament.
not for a
it's
second
now-
saying.
If it is a fundamental
is
right, my
not
lord,
there.
and if it
Who
is,
should protect the fundamental
it is
right?
a
Whether by
status-
parliamentary law.
All right, what
or
we
by
do is,
Can I- let us
fair
start,
enough.
Wallace.
my lord, if it is a
Sir,
status confined to,
We'd like
me
to
open my case.
yes, you can tell us.
Yes,
about
let me
15
open my
minutes, What
case.
is the canvas of the case?
So, my lord, in a